Okay, hello everybody. Today we are here in VR in the Cessna 172 Skyhawk with the Reality Expansion Pack, and we will be doing this entire flight in VR. So follow along with me and you can learn as we go. So we've got the checklist up. We're going to start by verifying that our parking brake is set. It is not, so let's get that set. Next, we'll make sure that the ignition switch is off. Get the battery master on. We'll check the fuel quantity, left, right. Check the annunciator, that is functioning. We'll get the flaps down for the walk around. Have to fight with them a little bit here. And I guess that's as far down as they go using the VR handset. Okay, looks good. So with the Reality Expansion Pack, you can grab the checklist and do a full walk around outside, which is awesome. So we'll open up the doors, we'll grab onto the checklist, which you actually have to hold with the controller, which is awesome. I'm going to turn on the lights so we can also do our lights check when we are outside. Okay, those are all on. That looks good. And next, let's see, we will grab a hold of the checklist here with my left hand and go outside. Alright, so we'll start by checking the baggage door to make sure that's secure. That's right there. That looks good. Next, we'll move around to the tail section. We'll check the elevator. That moves freely. And next up, we'll check the rudder. That also moves freely. Remove the tail tie down. Alright, check the antennas. They are all attached. That's good. Take a look at our flaps. And verify that our flaps are secure. Look at the ailerons. The right aileron moves freely. Remove the right wing tie down. Alright, it doesn't have the light check here, but I'm going to walk around to the side of the wing here and check out the light. Okay, my strobes are working and my nav lights are working. We'll climb up onto our stepladder, check the right wing fuel tank. The fuel is clear of contamination. We'll go down to the wheel. We'll remove the wheel chocks. Check the oil. That looks good. Move around to the front. The spinner is free of damage. We're going to remove the inlet cover. Fuel is clear of contamination. That looks good. We're going to remove the pitot cover. The probe is cold. Remove the left wing tie down. Check the left wing aileron. It moves freely. Check the left wing flap. It is secure. Remove the left wheel chocks and inspect the tire. It's inflated and looks good. Alright, climb back into the cockpit here and we will go through the remainder of the checklist. So we'll start by getting all of those lights off that I turned on, except for the beacon. Alright, our fuel selector's at both. Fuel shutoff valve is in. We'll get our throttle cracked. Mixture is to idle cutoff. Avionics are off. Fuel pump on. Mixture full rich, 3 to 5 seconds. We're going to look at the fuel flow gauge up there, pull the mixture out, turn the fuel pump off. So we're looking for 3 to 5 gallons per hour on the fuel flow gauge up there, but it happens pretty quick. Alright, both hands. I'm going to turn the ignition. And get the mixture back into rich so it doesn't stall. And fumble it a little bit here. Alright. And once it's stabilized at rich, I'm going to lean it a little bit while we do the rest of our groundwork. Okay, let's see what's next. So we've got to get our flaps up. We had them down for the walk around. There we go. And turn on our avionics. We'll pump the throttle. There we go. Bus 1, bus 2 are on. And we put the throttle back to 1000 RPM after bumping it. Next is setting up the instruments. So we'll check our compass and align the directional gyro with the compass. Alright, I've got KAVP opened up here with AVP's chart, which is helpful. So we're going to set up ground, which is actually just the standard 1219er tower on standby. Let's get our doors closed. Okay, we are streaming live ATC net, which is playing actual ATC from Wilkes-Barre Scranton Airport. So it's awesome. It adds a great bit of authenticity. You can hear that he just gave the altimeter in the background, so I'll just dial that in right now. I did try listening to Wilkes-Barre ATIS, but it's 111 frequency, which is below the frequency you can dial in an X-plane, so that was handy. We've also got our VFR map here loaded up into KAVP using New York's sectional. So KAVP is really indispensable, I would say, if you are flying in VR. Okay, we'll double check where we are and then give a call to ground. Here we are, looks good. So let's call him. Wilkes-Barre ground. Cessna 359er Golf Charlie, with information India. We are a Cessna 172 slant Golf. Request flight services to Whiskey Bravo Whiskey, Wyoming Valley at 2,500. Squawk 2412, taxi and hold short, runway 4, ILS critical area via Bravo Bravo 2, November 359er Golf Charlie.
November 2129er Juliet, traffic 12 o'clock and 3 miles northwestbound, altitude indicates 4,400. I'm not talking to him.
Okay, we're coming up to the ILS critical area. There is more taxiway beyond it. They're having us stop here because we could block the ILS signal if we plopped ourselves in front of it. Normally they would only do this if visibility were low and someone were on final, but we are instructed, so we will do so. We've got our checklist back up, so let's go through the run-up. Flight controls are free and correct. Flight instruments are set. We will get our mixture rich for run-up. Parking brake is set. Should have checked that first, actually. Alright, we'll check our fuel once again, and our oil pressure, everything is in the green. Our instruments are set, our vacuum looks good. Let's get our comms finalized. So we'll switch over to tower, we're done with ground. They'll be the next person to contact. And on standby, we'll get the CTAF frequency for Wyoming Valley, which is 122.8.
I couldn't remember if I talked to you yet or not. Wilkes altimeter 3.
Okay, next we will do our mag check. Mag left.
That's what I'm saying.
Watch the drop on the RPM. Back to both. Goes back up. Mag right. Again, watch for the drop on the RPM. Goes back up. So we're looking for presence of carb icing there, and we're also just verifying that both of them are working correctly, that if you turn off a magneto, suddenly you don't get a big drop in RPMs. Get our pitot heat on, get our strobes on, get the fuel pump on for takeoff. Let's just adjust the panel brightness. And I never set my transponder. I think it was a little too gung-ho, so I should have had this set up before I taxied over to this point. So we'll get our squawk code in of 2412. Alright, we're done with the checklist here. Let's call tower. Wilkes-Barre Tower, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, holding short, ILS critical area, runway 4. Cleared for takeoff, runway 4, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie. Okay, you can see this is really just more taxiway here. And the actual hold short lines for runway 4 are right up here. Since we're already cleared for takeoff, we don't need to hold short them, but I am going to stop and look left and look right to make sure that the runway is clear. So we are taking off on runway 4, which means we're going northeast, and the airport that we want to fly to is to the west. We weren't given any restrictions, so we're going to do a downwind, left downwind departure. So do a 180 on takeoff and head back towards the west. Airspeed's alive. Tracking center line well. I can feel there's a crosswind here. And rotate. So it's really interesting in VR. I've talked about this before, in that you can feel, like virtually feel winds, and I don't really get this experience when I'm flying in 2D. But I'm very aware that my plane is flying off axis because I'm applying a lot of right rudder to compensate for the crosswind. And yeah, it's cool. Like you can feel it, and I think it's because you have this 3D awareness when you're sitting in the cockpit of how the plane is moving that you don't really get when you're looking at a 2D screen. All right. So our climb out went well. We are ready to make our turn.
Roger, radar service terminated. You can squawk VFR, frequency change approved. Have a great day.
Wilkes-Barre is in a TIRSA, which is why we requested flight services. The untowered airport we're flying over to is, like 10 minutes away. So normally I wouldn't get flight following for this, but since we are in the TIRSA and the Class D airspace runs up almost to the airport, we may as well use the flight services for it. We'll request a frequency change when we need to go to CTAF. You can't quite see it. There's a little island there in the Susquehanna River off to the right, and the airport is just beyond that. Alright, that is Mohegan Sun just off of our right, so we're going to make our turn there and overfly the airport. We'll call up Wilkes-Barre Tower and request a frequency change over to 122.8 CTAF for Wyoming Valley. Wilkes-Barre Tower, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie with the weather for Wyoming Valley. Field in sight, request frequency change. Frequency change approved, squawking VFR, thanks for the help, good day. Cessna 359 Golf Charlie. Okay, we'll toggle over to 122.8. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, 3 miles west at 2000, overflying midfield, entering left downwind, runway 7, Wyoming Valley. Okay, that's the Susquehanna River right underneath us. So we're flying over midfield. We'll get a good look at the field as we do so, and then we're going to do a teardrop turn on the other side to do a 360 and enter the left downwind for runway 7 on the 45. We've got a mountain straight ahead of us, so it's going to be a little bit tight. Okay, making our turn. The field is off to my right here. Coming around, I can see the shopping center right before the field. Alright, rolling out, and we're a little bit closer than I wanted to be. Alright, and we are already midfield, so we'll get our first notch of flaps and start flying downhill. We've also got to get the landing light on. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, turning left base, runway 7, full stop, Wyoming Valley. And we're going to turn pretty much right into final. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, final, runway 7, full stop, Wyoming Valley. And it's not looking good. I think we're way too high here, so we're going to increase power, clean up the flaps, and do a go-around. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, going around, runway 7, Wyoming Valley. I like the flight advice that we plan for a go-around and land if things look good, as opposed to the other way around. It's the right mindset. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, left crosswind, runway 7, Wyoming Valley. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, left downwind, runway 7, full stop, Wyoming Valley. Okay, that's looking better. We're about 2/3 of the way up the strut there. We're a little bit far out, but this gives us some more breathing room for our turn. And we're midfield again, so we'll get our flaps. We will start flying downhill. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, turning left base, runway 7, full stop, Wyoming Valley. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, final, runway 7, full stop, Wyoming Valley. Alright, this is looking much better. We're still a little high, but I think our speed's really good. Okay, airspeed's good. Bring it over a little bit to the left here. Got our stall warning just at touchdown. Not bad. Not great, but not a bad landing. Get our flaps cleaned up. We got to turn around. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, back taxi, runway 25, Wyoming Valley. Okay, we are clear to hold short. Wyoming Valley traffic, Cessna 359 Golf Charlie, clear, runway 7, Wyoming Valley. Get our fuel pump off, landing light off. Strobes off. Transponder to standby. I made this airport. If you like it, I'll put the link in the details so that you can download it. Alright, and I like to pull up right here in front of the main hangar. Get our shutdown checklist up and start turning everything off. Get our trim back to neutral. Normally have a joystick shortcut for that, but I've got the VR controller in my hands. We'll use that. Avionics off. Beacon off. Mixture 2 cutoff. Master is off and alternator is off, and get the magnetos off and the ignition key out. We'll head on outside. Alright, well that was a lot of fun. This is a little bit different than what I normally do for my flights. This one wasn't cinematic, it was realistic, right? So I think it's really cool to stream live ATC and have that immersion and try to do it by the book, just the way that you would do if you're actually flying out of one of these small airports. So if you enjoy content like this, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and don't forget to leave me a comment. Thanks as always for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.